Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, like the title and the thumbnail says, this is going to be my most anticipated 2019 releases video. And as I'm filming this, it's mid-January, which means this is not an all-inclusive list. These are just titles that I happen to have heard of and happen to have release dates. Not even all of them have release dates at this point, but this is basically a list of, as of right now, the books that I have already pre-ordered or plan on pre-ordering. Like, these are the top of the TBR for 2019. And I feel like I should also put a disclaimer with this saying that I am filming this in January of 2019, which means that a lot of these release dates have the possibility to change or get bumped into 2020, so not all of these are guaranteed, but if they have a release date, I will let you know what it is as of now. Not all of them have covers as of right now. It's just, I'm excited, and I'm just ready to share my excitement with you. So I'm going to format this video a little bit like how I do my monthly releases videos, but on a much bigger scale. I'm gonna get through sequels really quick because I feel like sequels either don't really need to be like explained as to why I'm excited about them, or a lot of you guys already know about all the sequels that are coming out. So I'm gonna breeze through the sequels that I'm like real excited about, and then I'm going to try and go chronologically through the year of all of the books. There's about 25 books on this list. Honestly, there's going to be a lot more added to this list as I find out about them or as titles get released, but as of right now, these are about 25-ish books that I'm real into for 2019. Okay, so starting with sequels, I just have to get my most anticipated book of 2019 out of the way. The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Poppy War. We all know how into The Poppy War I am and how much it blew me away in 2018, so this is the sequel for that. It's beautiful. I love these covers. This comes out on August 6th, which is an eternity away from now. There is also Rage coming out by Cora Carmack, which feels like an eternity since the first book. This is the sequel to Roar, and I believe the series is called the Stormhearts series. This is coming out on June 11th, and I have been waiting 2 years for this. I want this book. I'm real into this series. The cover and title for Beth Revis's new book, the sequel to Give the Dark My Love, which we all know I raved about last year and I think is one of the most underrated fantasy books out right now, just got released. It's called Bid My Soul Farewell. That's the cover. It comes out on September 24th. I'm so ready for it. That's so far away, but I love the first book, and I feel like the title of this kind of lets you know the direction that the series is heading in. I'm so excited. I'm also really excited for Dark Age by Pierce Brown. This is technically the 5th book in the Red Rising world, but it's like the 2nd book in the 2nd trilogy happening. He bumped the release date to July 9th. I believe it was supposed to come out in February, but it has since been bumped until July because he's not like quite happy with the edits yet. So summertime is when we'll get this, which will be good. It'll give me enough time to emotionally prepare for this because these books destroy me. And another book that is not necessarily a direct sequel, but all of her books are companion novels to each other, so we know the characters already, but that is The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. This comes out on July 16th, and this is the 3rd book in her adorable romance series, but she did The Wedding Date and The Proposal, and I have adored her books. They are just super cute, diverse, meet-cute romances. I adore them. I'm gonna read everything she writes at this point, but this one comes out in July. And then moving into other sequels or continuations of series that do not have release dates, but I'm hoping we get in 2019. The first one being The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the 3rd book in the Arc of the Scythe series. It doesn't have a cover, doesn't have a release date. It potentially could get bumped to 2020, but God, I hope not, because this is one of the best series that's in the YA market, in my opinion. So I'm really excited for it, and all of his books end on cliffhangers, so it better happen this year. I also happen to know that I believe the first book in the Dreamers trilogy, I don't even know if that's the official name of the series, the Ronan Lynch series by Maggie Stiefvater. It's a spin-off series of the Raven Cycle. It's a whole series that follows Ronan, which is like my favorite character from that series. I believe we're getting the first one in 2019, and I think we're getting another book from her in 2019 that's separate from this world, but nothing has been confirmed yet. Keep your ears and eyes up peeled because I'm pretty sure we're getting something from her this year. So whatever that is, I'm anticipating it. It's going on this list. Then I'm just gonna include Sarah J. Maas information in this because some of it's sequels, some of it's continuations, some of it's new stuff. I'm gonna lump all of her things together. So the only one that has a confirmed date is October 1st. We're getting The World of Throne of Glass, which is essentially going to be like this huge collection of information about the Throne of Glass world. I'm thinking it's going to be more of like an encyclopedia that just has a lot of info about the world, but I do know it's going to have kind of an afterword in it, so it's going to have a couple of those scenes. God, I hope so. Some of those scenes that we all feel like we missed out on in Kingdom of Ash, I'm hoping it's going to be like a next year, and we'll see what has happened since the end of this. I don't think it's gonna be much. I think it's ultimately just gonna be like an encyclopedia type book, but I'm gonna read it. Hello. So technically the Throne of Glass world is over. That series is done. The ACOTAR series, I know we are not getting the next book in that series until 2020, but I believe we are getting another novella in 2019. I don't think that's confirmed yet. Like, I'm pretty sure she hasn't said it herself that it's coming out this year, but I'm pretty sure that series is supposed to have 6 complete novels and 2 novellas in it, and we already have 3 books and 1 novella, and I'm pretty sure the second novella is supposed to happen, which will actually help bridge the gap in between the series, because we all know that ACOFAST didn't do much of that. I think this little novella that's coming out this year is supposed to do that. When it's coming out, what it's called, I have no idea. But in case that doesn't happen, we are getting Crescent City this year. There isn't an official release date, but I know that that is the project that she's working on the most, and is coming out in 2019. God, I hope it doesn't get bumped, but that is her new series. It's an adult urban fantasy series. It's starting from scratch. We're getting book 1. I can't wait, because I feel like we've been in her worlds for so long that it's been some time since we've seen something new from her, and I can't wait for it. It's an adult series, so you know there's gonna be like legit sexy time in it. I'm on board. I can't wait for it. Whenever that gets a date, I'll let you guys know. It'll be all over all of my social media. So moving into the rest of the releases that I'm excited about, I'm gonna try and go in chronological order, which means the further down the list I get, the more likely these dates are going to change, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of these books are not coming out until the last quarter of 2019, which means they could be bumped. So I'm gonna start with what I know and go from there. So as I'm filming this, it is January, which means the first 3 books that would be on this list are already out or about to come out. So The Wicked King, Slayer, and King of Scars. 2 of those are already out as I'm filming this. As you guys are seeing this, the King of Scars might be out. It's out next week. It's very exciting. So we already know about those. We'll move on from those. Okay, so moving into March, that's when my next anticipated books are coming out. We have 2 that are coming on March 19th. The first one being Sherwood by Megan Spooner. I am so anxiously awaiting this. Ever since I read Hunted by her, I want to read everything by her. I think she is the best reteller in the YA retelling world, and Sherwood is a gender-bent Robin Hood retelling. I've been desperate for it since I found out about it like a year ago. We're so close to getting it. I can't wait for it. So March 19th is when we're getting that one. And we are also getting Never Contented Things by Sarah Porter. I feel like this is a book that is right up my alley. I feel like this is really going to appeal to Cruel Prince fans, but I feel like it's going to take it a step darker. So this is another really dark fairy story. I feel weird saying that because it's not like a happy fairy tale. This is just dealing with fairies, and they are dark, they are cruel, they are seductive and sexy, and it's gonna be amazing. So I can't wait. I mean, look at this cover. That's not a happy-go-lucky fairy cover. I'm so excited to see what this is. I know there's been some early hype for arcs that went out of this, and from what I'm hearing, it's like, it's everything. I can't wait for this. Then moving on to April 2nd is the next book that is totally on brand for me, and that is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. This I feel like is going to appeal to like my dark, morbid little soul. This I believe is just like a gothic, dark fantasy story. It deals with a girl who can, I believe, commune with the gods and a really dark and twisted love interest. I think this is being described as for fans of people who are really into the Darkling, who just, they like themselves a not necessarily morally happy love interest. So I'm excited for this. I think it deals a lot with like religion and fantasy and world building and dark. This is my brand. All right, let's be real. I'm gonna love this. So April 2nd is when I'm getting this one. Okay, moving into May 7th, I have 3 books that I'm really excited about, and we're going to move into like happier, fluffy land because it's 3 contemporaries that I'm really into. So for some reason, we're transitioning to happy time in the summertime. The first one being The Bride Test by Helen Huang. This is Helen Huang's sophomore novel. Everybody fell in love with The Kiss Quotient by her. I'm gonna read everything she writes at this point. She is so good at diverse representation and fluffy romance. So this, I can't wait. I can't wait. May 7th is when we're getting this one. You're also getting Again But Better by Christine Riccio, who is one of the biggest booktubers on here. And this is one of those things, It's not only appealing to me just story-wise. I believe it's going to read more like a new adult story because I think it's following a college-age girl. So it's kind of my jam. I'm into contemporaries, but I'm mainly just so excited to not only read what she has written to kind of pass judgment, let's be real, but also to just kind of help out the booktube world, because I think it's amazing when a booktuber can actually come out with a novel that is like worthy of the publicity that it's gonna get, if that makes sense. Because they can obviously push their own book on people because this is the platform to do that, but I'm excited to see if it's like worth pushing. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a harsh explanation of it, but I'm really excited to get it and see how good it is. I've heard good stuff about the arc so far, so that's coming in May. And the other book that's coming out on May 7th is Hope and Other Punchlines by Julie Buxbaum. Basically, after I read What to Say Next by her, I'm gonna read everything she writes. I feel like she is a very underrated YA contemporary author. I think her stories hit really well on very important topics that aren't widely discussed in the community. And this one sounds like it's gonna be another hard hitter. It's following a girl who is basically internet famous from a photograph. Like, she's one of those girls who was photographed in like a National Geographic type of situation where she just became internet famous because she was photographed in front of the World Trade Center on 9/11 as all of that was happening. And so she's kind of been dealing with internet fame, but trying to live an anonymous life because of that fame. So it's kind of her story, and I believe she goes to be a camp counselor and ends up meeting a boy. I'm assuming a romance will ensue, but I think she ends up meeting a boy who is like very drastically impacted by the effects of 9/11. So I think it's gonna be like a hopeful story and like a harrowing grief-ridden story. I think it's gonna be amazing. She's a really good writer. So also on May 7th, we get that one. Moving into Jude, on June 4th, we get City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you guys have been watching my hauls recently, you know that I've just been kind of collecting Elizabeth Gilbert books because I've been reading them for years, pretty much since Eat, Pray, Love came out. I read it, I liked it like everyone else did, but I am fascinated by all of her other books because she's an extremely talented writer. Like, The Signature of All Things is one of the best historical fictions I've ever read, so I will pick up anything she writes at this point. And I believe this is not my brand at all. This is not a story I would normally pick up because I believe this takes place in the 20s. I'll read anything she writes, so June 4th. Also on June 4th, we are getting Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, who wrote An Enchantment of Ravens. This is going to be her second book, and she's one of those authors that I want to keep my eye on because I feel like her voice in An Enchantment of Ravens was so unique and it has so much potential. I feel like it didn't quite hit the mark for me. I loved it, but something about it was just missing. So she's one of those authors that like I feel like has so much potential and I'm going to follow her for a long time, but this is her second one. It's another Charlie Bowater cover, which means I'm attracted to it. So June 4th. June 11th, there is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I've heard it pronounced both ways on audiobooks. I think it's Crouch though, who wrote Dark Matter and like blew the world away with that book. This, I've been hearing that it's a sequel. I don't think it's actually related to it, but I could be wrong about that. But basically Dark Matter dealt with multi-dimensional lives, and this one kind of deals with a similar type of concept, but it deals with memories, and it deals with how people have memories and why they have the memories they do, even if it's stuff that isn't technically considered a memory. Basically, his books are like complete mindfucks for everybody, and I'm on board. I'll read it. Moving into August, on August 27th, we are getting one of my most highly anticipated books that's not even a book, it's a graphic novel, and that is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks, who is the illustrator. But basically, this is following, I believe, two friends who are only seasonal best friends. They work together at a seasonal pumpkin patch, and they are quickly approaching their senior year, which means this is their last season that they're going to be working together. But basically, it's Rainbow Rowell, it's a graphic novel, it takes place with pumpkins. This is everything that I want. The next book that I want to talk about was put on my radar by Holly from Holly Hearts Books, so thank you for that because this is not a book that I needed in my life until I saw it. But on September 10th, we get Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. So this is a book that I pretty much got sucked in from the blurb that's on the cover, and I'm gonna read it to you guys because it'll work on you guys too. So basically, the blurb that is on the little cover here, you might be able to read it on the screen, says, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted Gothic palace in space. Decadent nobles vie to serve the deathless empire. Skeletons. How else can you describe a book that I need in my life? That's everything that I need in a blurb to make me buy a book. So September 10th is when we're getting this one. Moving into October, on October 8th, we are getting The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. Renee Ahdieh wrote the Wrath of the Dawn duology. She's a big author. This is the book that I was talking about in one of my more recent videos where I was discussing the fact that I want vampires to make a comeback, but I want them to make a comeback in the true nature of their bestial form. Like, I don't want a romanticized paranormal story. Like, I don't want another Twilight situation happening. I want really dark, really brutal, gory vampire stories, and I think this is what it is. It's set in New Orleans. I'm sold. I can't wait to see what she does with this. She has very atmospheric writing, so I think it's going to be a very creepy, southern, vampire-y goodness story. I hope so. So on October 8th, we can find out about that. God, I hope that's what I want. And then, much like everyone else who has been putting out these videos, I have to include the November release. Coming out on November 5th, there is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is finally her sophomore book. After the Night Circus, she basically disappeared into a hobbit hole and did not show her face for like a decade. So this is finally a second book from her. It's set in like an underground library magic world. I don't care what it's about, I'm gonna be honest. She's one of those authors that I think can appeal to everybody just because her writing is so damn magical. November 5th. God, I hope that doesn't get bumped, but November 5th is when we're getting the second book from her. Then the last book that's on this list does not have a release date yet, but much like that last book, this is an author that I will automatically pick up anything from because she impressed me so much with her debut. And that is called Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw, who wrote The Wicked Deep. The Wicked Deep blew me away. It blew a lot of people away in 2018. I think this one is going to be a little bit darker, a little bit creepier, a little more ominous from what she's been sharing from her like aesthetics boards and everything that she's been posting about it. It doesn't have a release date, but it takes place in a winter wood. I have no idea. She creates atmospheres like no other. Like, I have read The Wicked Deep twice now. It still blows me away. I'm so excited to see where she goes, and this is her next book that is hopefully coming out in 2019. Because I'm ready for it. So as of right now, that is completing my most anticipated releases. There are tons and tons of other titles that I could put on this list, but I had to narrow it down some way, and those are like the 25 most anticipated for the whole year. As always, I will continue to do the monthly releases videos and give you more details about all of the books that are coming out as I get more information. But as of right now, that's a somewhat complete list for me. So that is going to be it for this video. If you guys have books that are on your most anticipated releases lists that didn't make this one, let me know down in the comments. But I'm always on the search for new awesome releases coming out. That's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video.